Hey, what's up everyone? Today, physical therapist Melissa Lam is going to show us 5 simple exercises we can do to help maintain balance and strength that won't take any time away from your busy day. I'm Risa Morimoto, your host, and you're watching Modern Aging, where we chat about innovative and holistic ways to care for one another as we age. Don't forget to click on that subscribe button and the little bell so you're sure to be notified when new episodes are uploaded. When you start to lose your balance and strength, there's a cascade of problems that follow. It's so super important to keep moving and not to lose your balance to begin with. It's easier to maintain balance and strength than to have to build strength after a crisis or an accident. Melissa and I chatted on a previous episode about how to integrate movement and exercise to prevent future problems and not just address them when crisis hits. You can check out that interview on our YouTube channel. But for today, learn 5 simple exercises to keep you strong. Check it out.
Well, we can try the exercises right now for the balance and a little bit of lower extremity strengthening.
Okay.
So,
This
this is a good thing.
I know.
Because you want to know where your limitations are and you want to always know what to work on. So the first thing we're going to do is, again, the single leg balance, right?
Okay.
So everybody, while they're brushing their teeth, are you right-handed or left-handed?
Right.
So we just stand here and we brush our teeth.
It doesn't matter which
Doesn't
leg?
matter which leg, because every dentist should tell you to brush for 4 minutes.
Yeah.
So you would switch.
Well, my Sonicare will tell me that.
Exactly, and then you would switch legs.
Yeah, it's funny because my right leg is so much stronger than my left.
And the word stronger is actually not the right word to use. You're just different. That's all. They're just different.
They're just different.
They're different.
They're just different.
They're just different. Yeah. So
But does that mean like I should stand longer on my left because I feel like it's weaker?
it's not necessarily going to make that big of a difference, but if you felt the need, remember you're brushing your teeth 2 times a day, so you're going to actually do this in the morning.
Interesting.
Right. So I've learned to stand in 3-inch heels all the time.
Yeah, no, seriously.
And then switch sides.
That's actually a long time.
It's a very long time,
Yeah.
and that's something that patients really just don't understand. So even if you have your Sonicare, just standing there for that period of time is fine. But then what we would do is, I'm just going to give you a little bit of balance, just fingertips. You're going to go back onto one leg, pick a leg, and you're going to close your eyes.
Oh, wow. Damn.
So when you take vision out, and this goes into a lot of the science of what you're relying on, you're only relying on 2 systems, your vestibular system, right, and you've taken eyes out. And most people are very, very vision dominant.
Right.
So it's only vestibular and your proprioception. And so this is what helps patients realize, yeah.
Wow.
And that was about 4 seconds. So you would want to increase 5 seconds, 8 seconds. You're not trying to do this for a minute, but every little day you'd be surprised. And this is what I tell patients, why a monk can sit there for 5 hours, because he's practiced. And you just have to practice, and then you'll lift from your core. So see how I just got a little taller versus dumping?
Right.
You lift from your core, you relax your shoulders. So you're working on 5 or 6 different things with just a single leg balance.
Yeah, crazy.
And it really just gives you time to just calm down too. So you always want to resist the fight or flight. That's another huge thing about why the elderly doesn't have the reaction to be able to calmly resolve these differences that happen to their body. They constantly go into the flight, and then everything gets over exuberance, everything gets over excited, and the body
can't do
doesn't have a
anything.
chance. Yeah. So if you can train yourself to calmly navigate around these different things, it can be a fall preventative technique.
Wow.
So fall prevention is usually the big thing for the elderly population. So the second one we talked about was just seeing how your body moves. So we're gonna spread our feet about hip distance apart,
let's
a
sit
little
this way.
further. And you're just going to go in circular motions with your hip like you were hula hooping. We're gonna go counterclockwise first. Good.
Oh my God, I think I'm cracking.
Snap, crackles, and pops that don't hurt, I say, are actually pretty good. Now, try to bend your knees also while you do this. See how that feels weird?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. You
that's
want
good.
things to feel different. Now go in the opposite direction. Good. See, so you stopped moving your upper body when you went in the opposite direction. So that just shows me the way that your brain processes something, I have to make sure that your upper body and your lower body can do things differently. You would be surprised that 70-year-olds and 80-year-olds, when I ask them to hip circle, their brain can't even process what that means because they only know walking forward, they only know walking downstairs and walking upstairs. They don't do rotary motion. When does an older person do rotary motion or rotational motion? Never.
Right.
So I say, show me a hip circle, and they usually end up doing something like this.
Oh, interesting.
But what we got out of this was we stretched our hips, we extended our spine, then we came forward, and I'm stretching the hamstring, now I'm stretching the side body. So once again, one simple movement pattern, checked off my list, 6 or 7 things, plus I'm lubricating a joint, and that's actually very, very important for joint health. So the joint is the bone-to-bone connection. So with movement in these different joints. When I'm washing the dishes, yeah, there is something to be said about moving, right? So that's the other thing about this static standing still. It's not actually normal for our body to statically stand still. There is always this little bit of a shift.
Right.
Yeah, so when you're washing dishes, you actually want to have a nice wide base of support. So I tell patients wider than you think, because this is actually how patients fall.
Right.
When you have a very narrow base of support, or when the walking becomes this, with very small steps and feet together, versus
Train yourself
a
to
nice long stride. So we work on walking techniques. So you did balance and you did mobility, and then these two things, and look, we just did this in a space of nothing. So then you would use a chair for strengthening. So
Sorry, Eddie. Okay.
I'm gonna have you sit at the very edge of the chair. The number one thing about transferring out of a chair is older patients cannot move from the back of a chair. So they try to get up.
Why? What do you mean?
This is physics.
Wow.
Force distribution. So if you're all the way at the back of the chair, you have very little leg strength, you have very little core strength, there's no way you're gonna get up. So what they do is then they force their arms, and then they get the shoulder pain and they get the neck pain.
Oh,
So
wow.
rule number 1 is move to the edge of the chair.
Oh, okay. And then get up.
And then you will use a little bit of momentum. And sometimes I even say, stagger your feet, and then you just glide up.
Without using your hands, your arms.
Now with that chair, you would then incorporate that into an exercise, into these mini sit and stands. So you would sit down and then you would stand up. This in essence is a squat.
Right.
So I teach patients who are 80 to squat. And they don't believe me, but all we're doing is sitting and standing.
Right.
And preparing them for good transfer techniques. Because if you're back here, all the way back in the chair, they do this.
Yeah. They do all do that.
And then as the caregiver, you also can't help them with the transfer.
Right.
So we always get to the front. So for a typical office worker, I'll say, sit to stand 10 times. Every time you get up out of your chair, 10 times. If you're on a conference call, 10 squats. Anytime you think you can, whether it's with people in your office or without people in your office, you're actually doing body maintenance. So if people are, why is Risa squatting? I'm doing my exercise. Right? I'm doing my exercise. And this little movement pattern is strengthening your quadriceps,
Even though it doesn't feel like anything.
your butt muscles, your hamstrings. It's also working on balance because then you can progress it to a single leg stance. This is when we get really fancy.
Right.
All in the comforts of your own desk.
Right.
And this is why a home exercise program is truly a home program. You don't need a gym or any other facility. So you just utilize things around your house. Hotel rooms, patients who travel and tell me, I don't have time.
Yeah, no, that's me, yeah.
There's always a chair. Or when you're waiting in the airport, there's always a chair. So there's always a chair, and squatting without going into the logistics of I have knee pain or such and such. This is again for the average client or for the client that is 70 who just wants basic. Where when people used to say, walk up the stairs, that's a great way to get your exercise in. Walk around the block. Exercise does not have to be defined as I'm going to a boot camp or a CrossFit and I'm sweating profusely and I spent 1 hour at the gym. This counts as a therapeutic exercise for my patients, and it's very beneficial, and they will build leg strength and they'll feel more confident in their ability, which is also what you're trying to give the older population, is the safety. Take away the fear that they're going to fall. And that comes with practice. And then the last strengthening exercise for the legs is something, same thing. All you need is a very small space. So you're gonna actually get down on the ground and lie on your back. And see, now I would be assessing, how do you get down? What are your movement patterns like? Minus a dog behind your head. That's fine, good. So you're gonna bend your knees, actually keep them bent, right? Your hands are by your side. And you're going to lift your hips up off of the floor. So what are we strengthening right now? We're strengthening your core. We're strengthening your hip muscles. We're strengthening your hamstring, and even giving input into your foot and ankle complex. And then you come down. So one very simple movement pattern, same thing, just strengthened and built up also your stability. So see, if I pushed you around in time after you do this for about 3 weeks, I wouldn't be able to move you as much because you're gaining core stability and pelvis stability. And all those words are also very important for the elderly population. Stability. How stable of a body do they have?
Right. That's awesome.
And it's so simple.
Yeah, and I feel like so anybody can just kind of do it, right?
And then that's just the strengthening component. There's also a very small stretching program that I give clients. Stretching, I say, is like drinking water, right? Because stretching is what gives your muscles the mobility and the pliability and the lengthening component. Right. And that can be done the same thing. Every day, 2 minutes, and then you just did 3 minutes of a strengthening program. Your balance you do while you're brushing your teeth. So you see how it was incorporated into your day. So you're not saying, I don't have time to go to the gym. I don't have time to do this. You weave it into your lifestyle, and that's also how it becomes a behavior pattern.
We always love to hear from you. Feel free to leave a comment below or share your thoughts and ask questions. If you enjoyed the video, share it with your friends and family, and be sure to subscribe so you'll be notified as soon as new shows are uploaded. Feel free to DM me on Instagram or Facebook at This Is Modern Aging. But of course, the best way to keep in the loop is to sign up on our email list at thisismodernaging.com. To live your best life tomorrow, you need to start today. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on Modern Aging.